Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Voices of Holt with your trustable host right here. We have a very special invitee today, but I'm going to let Shamik do us the honors. This is my first episode with Shamik ever. So, Shamik, welcome to this new experience to be on camera. I'm really excited to have new people join the team and for you guys to get to know them better. So thank you for joining us today. And Shamik, go ahead and do us the honor.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. So today we have with us Professor Thomas Kurnicki, who has quite the resume. So to start off with, he has a data and investment market risk consultant with Fortune 500 experience and a venture capital background. That's just the first point here. He's an expert in data science, business stats, and implementing data-driven solutions for disruptive industries. He's the co-founder of two companies, one in Poland, or actually both in Poland, with a passion for technology and innovation. Finally, he's a dual MS degree holder and a published researcher, an educator in data science and programming at Holt International Business School. And I'm just tired reading that, so I can only imagine the experience that we're about to hear through this podcast.
This guy sounds crazy.
And there's something that, just saying, that we didn't mention there, but he's also part of our alumni. So
yeah.
He's Holt alumni, so that's important to mention, a very important people that held one of Holt degrees. So also, that's part of his Holt journey.
Do you want to trade shoes? I want to be in your shoes for a second.
Really? No,
as a student, those were good times.
But I really don't.
No, you don't want to trade shoes. Mine is big. It's a 12 size. So yeah, probably too big for you.
Probably.
But I'm really interested here, Professor Kurnicki. Could you share a little bit about your background and journey into data science and machine learning?
Yeah, it was not a smooth road. If anything, it was a rocky road. I guess thinking about ice cream right now. But that said, yeah. So it all started off in Poland when in high school I got really interested in mathematics. That was, I think, the starting point, kind of like the seed of this entire venture. So I did extended mathematics in high school, and then I took what we in Europe know as matura, or kind of like these exams after high school. And I took extensive math on those. I scored pretty high, and I got into university. And while studying, and I did choose quant finance to do my bachelor's level because of the exposure to mathematics and statistics. I was always into finance, like when I was younger. And I did grow up here in the U.S., in Baltimore. And I did grow up with my dad working at these investment firms. T. Rowe Price, Prudential's, Legg Mason, those are Baltimore-based investment companies. So I always had that thing for investments, for finance. So I chose to study finance, but given my inclination to mathematics and statistics, I decided to go and do a quant finance degree. So I had a bunch of statistics, bunch of mathematics, calculus, derivatives. At the end, I ended up partnering with some of my classmates and also PhD students to do research at the university. And that's where I've learned how to code. So everything was really organic. There wasn't really anything shocking in my experience. I have learned how to code organically because I had to work on research projects and analyze a lot of data. That was the need. That was my need for learning how to code, how to implement those things. But also, meanwhile, I was studying the theory in class because classes were pretty theoretical. But that gave me a good exposure to math, stats, data, right?
Perfect.
And meanwhile, I was studying financial subjects like accounting, microeconomics, econometrics, very quantitative, investment products, investment markets, capital markets, so anything that you would study also at business school, just like at Holt. But it was from a quant perspective. So that's where I grew as a quant. And Meanwhile, I was developing my own company, actually 2 companies back in Poland. Grew from a seed company with only 2 or 3 employees in the first year to a mid-sized company when we had 4 managers. This was back in 2013, 14. That's the year when we were the biggest. That's also when I sold my companies, but we had let's say 4 managers and roughly 40 employees. So it was a mid-sized company. But I decided to move forward. I was graduating with my first master's in quant finance with a major in investment firms, investment management. And I decided to do something with my life, something different, something not related to the business, because the business was very cyclical. It was very seasonal. So that was the biggest drawdown of being in my business. So I decided to sell the company. And with the proceeds of that exit, I was able to come back here to the States, this time to the West Coast, and given my passions for windsurfing and kite surfing, I decided to go to California, because California is this amazing place, right? And I'm smiling when I say that, right? Amazing place. It's still an amazing place, but I'm smiling when I say that, to kite surf and windsurf. And I joined HALT for the finance program. I wasn't really ready for teamwork. I wasn't really ready for projects, because all the classes that I had were individual work. Submit a mathematical solution for a given set of data, right? Or reorganize an algorithm so that it's custom for a given case. But it was all individual work. There was very little teamwork back in my studies in Poland. At Warsaw University. Now, it was a great program. I would take it again if I could, right? I've learned a lot, and the people are very nice. But I was missing that teamwork. I didn't really know how to thrive on a team and how to combine different perspectives to create value, to create some benefits. So I really wanted to go to business school. My father also did a business school many years prior to me. And I chose HALT because... Well, I guess the main reason was because there was a campus in San Francisco, and I was really looking to move to California. But I think that the biggest unique point that I considered when joining HALT was the exposure to different people, to different nationalities, to different perspectives and backgrounds, and that combined made me choose HALT as my first choice. And I attended the Masters in Finance. Back then it was offered in San Francisco, so the last cohort of Masters in Finance in San Fran. And this was in 2014. I graduated in 2015. And just to make a long story short, back to what you've asked, HALT really gave me a really unique perspective on finance. Back then, I did focus my studies on investment products, especially with the U.S. perspective on it. And the professors, the faculty were just so amazing. But also HALT opened my eyes on networking. As a quant, I didn't really know that people can help you. You can leverage teamwork to accomplish greater things. And I think that HALT really taught me that networking and teamwork is critical to any success. And I gambled on it. And at the end, I got my dream job. It wasn't right after graduation. I did work in the real estate and the venture capital and real estate for a few years. But I very quickly had moved on to my dream job, which was in investments, doing quants, working with databases, suggesting optimal solutions, optimal products, using my skills that I have learned back in Poland, so statistics and mathematics, and a code for the stuff that I was really passionate for. And HALT opened my eyes that we should be working within our passion, which in my case was investments, stocks, bonds, equities, fixed income, all the different major asset classes. So approximately 1 year after graduation, less than 1 year after graduation, I got my dream job at Wells Fargo and grew my career from a regular data analyst, extracting data. That was my first role as a junior analyst, all the way to executive director right now for advanced analytics within Wells Fargo.
Wow, congratulations.
Thanks.
That is such an amazing and inspiring story. I feel like anybody that's watching or listening will feel somehow attached and connected to your background story.
But it wasn't a smooth ride. If anything, it was a rocky road.
And I think that's the best part. When things come so easily, then you appreciate them less.
True.
When they're hard to get and when they're challenging. And that's why I love Holt, because most of the time art projects are more challenging. I love telling people that, yeah, exams are hard, but you just study and memorize instead of actually learning. You just memorize what's going to appear in the exam, you do it, and that's it. But at Holt, since we are very much on project and practice learning, there's nothing you need to memorize. Obviously, there's the theory part, but there's a lot more on creativity, on touching you as a person and as a business person and how you're going to do in the real world, which is the skill that are mostly needed.
Very hands-on, if anything. And me also being a faculty member here for the past 8 years, I can say that the assignments and projects in class are really designed with hands-on in mind. So how can I take these skills and implement them day one once I get that dream job, right? So I think what you said is very, very much true. The hands-on approach, having the hard skills and the soft skills, combination of both, to be successful day one.
Agree.
Yeah.
Now, how do you see, because you've talked about your background into finance, investment, AI, machine learning. So let's go a little bit on how do you see AI and machine learning transforming the investment management industry, like the world that you have been talking about, this mix between AI and machine learning with investment and risk management as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see two paths, personally, my personal opinion. The first path is really customer/investor facing, focused on personalization of some of the strategies and products, because investment management products are very complex products. Not everybody understands how stocks behave. It's actually not very easy to understand how fixed income products work, bonds to give an example of. But then when you go to other products, it gets even more complicated. So I think the customer-facing AI path would help our clients, any investor or wealth management client, better understand what they're investing in. Mm-hmm. Break it down into their own unique perspective, background, given that if we train for months or years an app on our phone, it kind of knows our background. It kind of knows that I am a data scientist, right? The app would know that you're using a lot of good verbiage related to podcasts, for example. I'm making this up as I go, right? But these apps can be trained using our own vocabulary, our own unique style to understand our perspectives, understand our strong points, and then use that to better explain these complex ideas, complex services, complex products, using our own verbiage that we understand. So being able to translate a complex idea, a complex strategy into using terminology and verbiage that would be understandable to you and me. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be the first path that AI is going to help the industry succeed in. The complexity of our industry is really what needs to be disrupted here, and simplification of it, being able to explain it to the mass people, right? But the second thing that I really see AI helping us is automation of some back-end work. And there is a lot that goes into our industry in terms of statistics and mathematics and building models, predictive models, forecasting models, to mention a few challenges these days. I think that being able to automate generation of those models, being able to help data scientists write the code, and we all know that large language models do it already, right? But being able to streamline that, make it faster, time to market much faster, build products, build models that are more robust, more optimal when it comes to the data and the programming components of it. I think from my perspective, that's where this entire Gen AI ideology comes into play, and it's going to help reduce cost. It's going to help reduce potential human error and operational risk. I think that's how we can best utilize it. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's really interesting, right? Because you have so much stuff going into different areas, especially with AI. Like, there's always something new coming up. And for me as a student, learning that, who's not focused on finance or machine learning, it's always interesting to see, like, oh, AI can use, like you just said, in these cases. And it starts to understand even better as time goes on.
Yes. It's supposed to be, quote unquote, self-learning. It's never self, but it's supposed to retrain itself on new data, on fresh data. Now, if anything, there is a challenge with that. Mm-hmm. And the challenge is that a lot of people think that AI models are this perfect solution for any challenge, any problem that they or the corporation might be facing. And that's just not true, because then these become black boxes. So it's really important to understand at different levels. It could be conceptual, it could be from a coding perspective, how these work, so that we do not treat them as black boxes or magical boxes, but instead treat them as actual tools that we understand and we can fully implement, right? And that's the biggest challenge of AI, complexity of it. You would have to be a statistician and an engineer to understand how they work. And how can you use something if you don't really understand how it works? That is the biggest challenge that I see myself not going away anytime soon.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally understand. Sometimes we see these technologies are like the big saviors of our current world. But it's scary. At least for me, I think there are so many challenges that we're still facing and we're still figuring it out. Sorry. And as any new technology, it's important to understand that part. It is new. There's still so much to come just yet. And it's also our responsibility to understand where are the limits that we're putting this technology, or how important is it going to be or meddled into our life as we think, you know? Let's move on to something more interesting. And not the sad part that technologies offered or the challenges that we are facing, but more of, give us an example of a data-focused project that you've done that you're excited about.
Yeah.
Or a solution that you've worked and you feel like has had a significant impact.
Yes. One exciting project that I just embarked on, and it's not related to my work at Wells Fargo, but it is very closely related to the work here at Holt, is that I have partnered with two other friends from Silicon Valley, and we do have a campus in San Francisco. For those of you who are watching this the first time and don't know much about Holt, we do have a campus in Silicon Valley, and I've partnered with two friends of mine who are engineers. They're less on the statistics side, more on the implementation side, and we have spinned off a consulting agency for companies, targeting mid-sized companies, to help them implement these AI solutions. Now, we have been focused on large language models recently, but it seems like there is a growing demand in terms of helping companies structure unstructured data. Mm-hmm. A lot of these AI models, they work off of unstructured data, like text, like emails, like photos, like video, like audio. Even right now, we are recording unstructured data, right? So the video, visual, and then the audio, right? This is all unstructured data. So how do I help a company? The biggest punchline of the project that we are working on is, how do we help companies implement these so that they are ready for model design? Call them AI model design. So implementation, consulting, but also maintenance. Because once we build a model, a predictive model to, for example, a recent project with one of the clients was to help predict which customer is going to be more positive when it comes to a new product that they can offer or a new service. They were actually in services, right? The product was a service. Well, we have to collect a lot of data, public data as well, especially for target customers, to get a big enough sample of photos of written content, train the model, test the model for particular clients, and then implement it, right? But the ongoing maintenance, because models might have to be retrained, models might have to be rebuilt, changed if performance decreases. And we measure performance in different ways: accuracy, right, specificity, sensitivity, all those things that you would learn in our programs, especially if you were to join the Ambit program. But that also said, we do that maintenance for these companies. So yeah, we're still a fairly small consulting firm, but we have noticed that there is a huge demand for these AI consulting services in the Middle East right now. I just had 2 more meetings these past 2 weeks with potential clients from Dubai and Abu Dhabi, right?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, growing demand from international clients. And yeah, that's really exciting. So really helping companies implement these, because again, for many folks, for many senior leaders, these are black boxes. They've heard AI on the internet. They've heard AI on social media. They can see or they can envision some benefits coming from it, but they don't know what's inside. And that's where we come with the expertise on knowing the details, knowing what code to write, and it's usually Python code. What a code to write to implement this at company XYZ. That's what we do, and I think it's without saying it's 20 times. I think that this will be one step closer to helping companies make intelligent decisions when it comes to models, as they are more aware of what's inside, on how to implement, which one to implement, and what the value add is for the business. Yeah, I think that's what I'm most excited for. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Love that.
And I love how you're emphasizing the role of AI and how critical it's possibly going to be in the future, right? Especially with
absolutely.
Yeah, especially with like you said, Dubai, Abu Dhabi reaching out in terms of hey, tell us this or how we can work better. Do you think in the same topic of AI, is there a certain industry you think is going to be completely changed by it, and why do you think that's going to happen?
In my opinion, any service heavy industry or company would be impacted in the first line. That means banking, right? That means insurance. That means investment management. That means healthcare. Well, healthcare has both, right? Government agencies, because it is at the end 90-ish% services, right, to the public, to the people of a given nation or population. But then what I really see being the next thing is these predictive models or AI models really disrupting product industries. One that I'm really looking forward to is the disruption of construction. It's happening already, but it's not as deep as it could be. We do have these startups that offer 3D printed homes. But is that really AI? Not so much, right?
Not so much. We've had 3D printers around for a long time.
Exactly. So I would be really interested to see how we could disrupt the construction industry, for example. Or maybe a little bit easier to envision, how do we disrupt the regular grocery stores, right? So big stores. And this could be what Amazon started some time ago. I don't think it really synced in very well. This could have been because of COVID. But instead of having employees or cashiers, they would just have cameras and predictive models charging you for the items that you pick from the shelves. And that was a beautiful example of AI because you collect unstructured data in the forms of photos where a customer picks a product from the shelf, from a freezer, or from a fridge. The model, given some uncertainty, hopefully low uncertainty, predicts what the product is, lookups the price in structured data. So we're already going into two different types of data, right? Unstructured and structured. And then charges the client automatically their credit card or the debit card or the account. And we had those stores spun up by Amazon. I'm not quite sure that they became so popular because who shops in person? Well, a lot of young people, they do their groceries online. And maybe that's one way of disrupting it. But I think that the stores that are in shopping centers, that the stores that are, physical buildings, they need to be disrupted somehow to lower cost, to increase effectiveness of operations, to decrease human error, because a cashier might also make human errors, to decrease the potential risk of theft as well, right? So I think there is a lot of room for improvement and potential disruption in those product heavy industries.
Actually, I remember this reminds me of one of our projects we did in core module 3. It was about future proofing. So we had to choose a company, and I remember my team, we chose Best Buy because obviously they're disappearing. They're brick and mortar stores, sadly. Yeah. But we talked about how we see it in the future. And to future-proof, I remember we did something similar, and it was a technology that already exists. It should get a little bit more famous while they sharpen it and make it better. But it exists now, and it's shopping carts that when you put the item in, it starts scanning them, and in the end, you pay with a little screen that's on the shopping cart. You don't need cashiers. You don't even need a station. To like just go away, like the automatic stations that we go. Even there, you have to make lines or wait for a human assistance. But if you just had to put it in your shopping cart and then pay right there, the time will be a lot less, and it'll be a lot faster, less human error, as you were mentioning. So we thought about that idea, and this just made me think about that project. And now they're implementing into core module 3 more of AI. They want future proofing to be more AI related, so that is really great. So now we've talked about the challenges that are presented by AI, the different paths in machine learning and AI, new exciting projects, and what we see in the future for this to help. But what about as an educator? How do you think you prepare your students to work in a field that evolves as rapidly as AI, in a field that we don't really know? We can expect and maybe forecast the probabilities of what could happen on the day of tomorrow in our future, but as students, we don't really know. It has been changing so rapidly, and it evolved. Uncertainty. So how do you think you prepare your students? Who go with this question?
So I'm switching my hats right now from investment management and consulting to faculty here at Hult. We invite different guest speakers to share their perspectives on it. And it doesn't take only one guest speaker, but it takes a range of diverse guest speakers to kind of formulate a mindset in which students can judge themselves. Because it really comes down to not only critical thinking about what I just heard, but having my own perspective and my own opinion on some thoughts. So that's what I do myself, and I know that other faculty do as well, is providing tools and resources to students to be able to form their own opinions, their own perspectives. And I think that's the first step. And the second step is providing enough hard skills to understand what the current market or demand, and this could be the labor market, needs from us these days. But then with the diverse perspectives and with the mindset that combines different backgrounds and different opinions, students should be able to take those skills and create new ideas, and in teams brainstorm, just put their heads together to create something innovative, because it all comes down to having innovation in mind. So what can I do to take what I know today and see how I can change the future for a better world? Where is that value coming from? Where is and talking about a corporate world, where is the business value going to be stored in the next few years? So those 3 critical components, right? The 2 being the mindset, where we challenge and broaden our horizons, and the other one is the hard skill. In our case, whether it's the M-Bands or the M-Fins, and I'm talking about 2 different programs here at Hult, but also basically any other program here at Hult. I teach coding classes, for example, and that would be my hard skill contribution. I'm going to teach my students how to code in Python. I'm going to teach my students how to code in R, which is a data science tool, and using what the market needs right now, which is coding skills. How can I create new value? How can I ideate the new project, propose and sell something innovative that's not in my company yet, right? And I think it's a combination of those 2 things that I have mentioned.
As a student, I'm excited for that. Like, I get to learn that eventually and learn how it goes deeper into it. But I know you just put your educator hat on. I'm going to ask you to put all your hats on back together.
Oh, my head is not that big.
And I want to understand from you, when you're talking to someone or when you're learning more about AI, what excites you for the next 5 to 10 years? What are you really looking forward to in the field of AI?
I really want to know which field or industry is going to be next. And you did ask me this question before. I'm not quite sure which industry is next. And I think that's what's exciting, the unknown trajectory and paths for many of these fields that are still left behind when it comes to disruption. I think the uncertainty is what gives me the adrenaline.
Right.
That's how I would answer this. But it's also that me personally, not only as an educator, but it's my personal hat, right? Thomas Kurnicki, is that my skills in statistics and mathematics, which I had to sweat quite a lot to learn back in Poland, right? Because they're not easy. Well, quants are not easy. There's only one right answer all the time, and if you deviate from the right answer just a little bit, you're wrong, right? So it's a very tough field. It's a very rewarding field, but what I'm really happy for is that suddenly my skills that I possess and that I am also sharing with Hult students in the classroom are becoming more and more and more needed because of AI. So the coding skills, critical thinking skills, statistical skills, also applying those to business challenges. I'm currently teaching a business challenge right now at Hult with a client. Knowing that these skills will become more and more important, more and more lucrative. I myself, are in the right spot at the right moment, at the right time. And I think that's also making me happy because I can see myself growing. I can see my students grow over the next few years with a lot of perspectives ahead of them. That's, I think, what makes me happy, what makes me think that the future is bright.
Yep, and bright, literally with the sun coming down on us. And I can really see the excitement.
Yeah.
The excitement really shows when you're talking about it. So yeah, I'm excited to learn just from your experience as well. And would you say it's the same for machine learning, that uncertainty is what gets you excited, or do you have a more structured approach to that?
Machine learning is, well, let's call it predictive modeling, okay? Because that's really what machine learning is, predictive modeling. What's exciting there, more precisely, because I gave you like the high level answer about the skills that they are growing and that potentially we all have more opportunities as people in this field. with machine learning in particular, predictive modeling, is the excitement comes from the fact that I can solve actual business cases and provide a ton of predictive power. What I mean by that is, given a data set, given a challenge, to make it simple, let's assume that there is a binary outcome, business success and business failure. So mathematically, a Boolean variable, 1 and 0, 1 for business success, 0 for business failure. I can build a model using 2, 3, maybe a little bit more. The model itself with one line of code, of course I need a process, so I'm going to have a lot of code. But I can build, and I teach my students how to build pipelines that will help a customer, help a stakeholder, help a business predict that business success, that 1, and then conversely predict business failure, that 0. So for machine learning, for predictive modeling, and I gave a classification example, that's the thrill. And if I were to go across the street there's a hotel right here, Hotel Marlowe. Dear hotel manager, I can give you a solution worth XYZ dollars that can predict whether a client needs a bigger room or if the client will extend their stay for 1 or 2 days based off of your actions, whether you give them maybe a free lunch or a free dinner or access to the gym for free. Perks. Which of these perks are more important for the client to extend their stay and at the end spend more money with you, right? If that's your business success. So being able to predict business success is what, in my opinion, machine learning is all about. And that's what makes me want to do more. Yeah.
That gets me super excited because I feel like that's just a superpower. A few years ago,
1 and 0, 1 and 0. It's all about 1 and 0. Business success, business failure. Yeah.
If you go to someone and tell them 10 years ago that we would have the superpower of not just trying to say expectations, what we expect. Guess. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Just guess certain stuff. But at this time, we can actually, even though we're looking for probabilities, there's higher chances that this could happen.
Of course.
And we can do forecasting so easy and predict the future. We literally have what 10 years ago would be to someone a superpower. We're superheroes right now. We hold in our hands the power of predicting the future. And that's amazing. That just, for me, it feels a little surreal, to be completely honest, that this is our current world. And that I'm graduating in 2 years, which means that in 2 years it's going to be even more normalized, that we're able to make those kind of predictions and so much more. But I think we've got to the end of giving you so many questions.
Really? So quick? Okay. All right.
Making you put the hat of machine learning, the hat of investment, the hat of finance, the hat of professor. Thank you so much for sharing your career with us and sharing your path. I've got to my favorite part where we give you the question of our past guests that left for you with lots of love. And then you'll get the chance to give a question to the next guest without knowing who it is. That's the fun part.
Mysterious question. Love it.
So, Shamik, would you do us the honor?
Absolutely. So what is the best advice you've ever received, and how do you apply it in daily life?
Wow. The best advice. Too many things are in my head right now. But if I were to choose one, it would be this. And just let you know that I'm a windsurfer and a kite surfer, right? Don't fight with the wave.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because it'll smash you. And I'm translating from Polish to English, okay? Mm-hmm. Instead, make sure you dial in and zero in on your bottom turns and top turns and go with the flow. Now, how can I translate that into my life, right? That was the advice. And back then, I actually thought it was about, like actual windsurfing on waves. But, which I still think it applies, to be honest. It does a lot. But I would say that there is no sense in fighting against the odds now talking statistics, right? I think that we should identify our strengths and weaknesses. Yes, potentially try to fix our weaknesses if they are blockers, but also focus on developing our strengths, going with the flow. So I'm really good at math. I'll keep studying math. I'll keep studying statistics, right? Because I'm really good at it and I really enjoy doing it. So why fight against a wave, right? Why go against a wave? Why should I suddenly start studying history if I just am not born to do that, right? So identify your strengths and weaknesses, know them, and dial in, zero in on your bottom turns and top turns and your strengths. Know exactly how the wave behaves. And then following up, windsurfers would know this and surfers would know this, timing is of essence. So make sure you know exactly when to make your bottom and top turn when it's the right time so that the wave doesn't crash you, because the wave can still crash you. It's always the case. Okay, so that's that's what I could think of. I guess that's what I've been, kind of trying to follow throughout the past few years, focusing on my strengths, doing what I like.
It has worked well so far.
I love teaching.
If we see your history, it has worked well so far.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that answer. I know that when we were recording with this interviewee, I said, "Oh, that's a hard question." And the person said, "Not at all." I'm like, it is a hard question to think about the best advice.
It's the best, because you get advice all the time, right?
Exactly.
But the best, like, which one do I choose? Because I have a few in my head, right? But the windsurfing one, the waves, don't fight with the wave. Totally.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to start using that too. I'm going to steal it from you.
Should try windsurfing.
So now, could you tell for the next guest, what question would you leave for them?
Hopefully my question is not too difficult, and hopefully it makes the next person think as well. How would they implement a machine learning or broader AI tool or model, tool is fine, to help them with their day-to-day responsibilities?
I like that.
That's
okay.
interesting.
Okay, this is an interesting question.
Right.
Well, thank you very much for being here with
It
us.
was a
We really
pleasure.
appreciate your time, and happy holidays. Happy holidays to you guys too.
Yeah, same to you.
Well, probably you'll see this way after the holidays. So I hope you had nice holidays, and I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope, Shamik, you enjoyed the experience of co-hosting
This
for the
was really
first
cool.
time.
Very exciting.
Hopefully we'll see you in more episodes, and thank you very much for seeing our episode and listening to us.
Thanks. Thank you for
Bye-bye.
having me.
Thank
It was a
you.
pleasure.
Happy 2025.
All right. See you soon. Bye-bye.